Before watching this video, I highly recommend checking out part 1 of it, as I will be referring to it from time to time in this one. So one of my most viewed videos on this channel so far has been the video where I talk about GTA 4, and more specifically the terribly broken Serbian spoken by the game's characters, mainly Niko Belic, and while I was making the video, I forgot to include and mention a lot of scenes which also have Niko and even some other characters speaking Serbian, and there's some really interesting stuff here. The main issue I ran into whilst making this video is that researching this topic in particular is not really easy, as outside of a couple of well-known moments, most of the scenes where characters speak Serbian aren't particularly notable or interesting, and I had to basically dig through my memories to remember scenes where Niko and other people spoke Serbian. So, in this video, I'll be analyzing more scenes where characters speak Serbian, and at the end of the video I'll also answer some of your questions and address some of the mistakes I made in my previous video. The first mission I'll be talking about is actually the second mission in the game, titled It's Your Call, where Niko drives Roman to some card game and gets chased by loan sharks afterwards. This is one of the rare missions where a major portion of the dialogue during the drive is actually in Serbian, and while there aren't no huge flaws in the grammar like in some of the other missions, there are some things worth mentioning. I will first play out the scene for you and then I'll explain it.
Funny. No, I'm the janitor because I always clean up. I always win. Get it?
Chistach, naravno. I seriously hope your cards are better than your nicknames.
This game, I'll have enough money to pay them back 10 times. Oni su slabići u svakom slučaju.
Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is just how bad the pronunciation of these sentences are. For example, when Niko says Chistach, naravno, it's actually supposed to sound like Chistach, naravno. But honestly, that's just nitpicking. The big kicker here is Roman's line. Oni su slabići u svakom slučaju, which is supposed to sound like Oni su slabići u svakom slučaju. Now, a lot of people don't know that this mission, and many more actually, have a lot of dialogue that they never get to hear, because it only plays if you fail and retry the mission. And in this case, we get to hear more beautiful Serbian. I'll let the dialogue play out for you and then I'll talk more.
I have the feeling only thing you will come out of there with is more dead. Uvek je sa tobom tako, Roman.
Uvek je sa tobom tako, Roman. Yeah, something went really wrong with this line. For some reason, this line sounds like it's been slowed down or like Niko's drunk while saying it. And it definitely feels odd and out of place compared to the rest of the dialogue. One more issue that's present in this line, and many more, is that Niko pronounces Roman the same way he does when he's talking in English, and he doesn't follow the correct grammatical rules. For example, in this line, he says Uvek je sa tobom tako, Roman, and what he should say is Uvek je sa tobom tako, Romane, because him just saying Roman without the E at the end makes it sound like he's not talking to Roman, but instead just saying his name completely separately from the rest of the sentence. The next questionable scene takes place after Niko and Roman arrive at the hardware store. Take a quick listen.
It's so quiet out here, Roman. You winning? Molinte reci da.
Don't worry, I'm getting so many bullets, it's like I'm an AK. Mismaku.
During the phone call when Roman's at the card game, he reassures Niko that everything's alright by saying mismo cool. And while when translated literally this does mean we are cool, when said in this context it would imply that Roman is stating that him and Niko are cool, as in cool and interesting people, not that they are doing good. This also just reaffirms my theory that Rockstar used some sort of machine translator, possibly even Google Translate, considering it launched in 2006 actually, which would just be incredibly funny to me. By the way, while not really related to this video, whilst doing my research I learned that there is actually a canon in-game explanation as to why Niko mostly stops speaking Serbian after this mission. If you fail and retry the mission, during the ride back to the cab depot, Roman tells Niko that nobody will understand him if he keeps speaking Serbian and that he must speak English from now on. This is actually a good explanation as to why Niko almost exclusively speaks English from this point onwards, and I'm not sure as to why Rockstar decided to put this only in the alternate dialogue for this mission. The second scene I'm going to be talking about is way crazier than the previous one, and it takes place during the mission Logging On, where Nico basically just has to go to an internet cafe and create an account there. And yes, internet cafes were popular in 2008. Do you feel old? Now, just take a listen.
Hey, Roman. Koji je stereotip?
Lucy!
Ровно-то много. Да добьем preko interneta. Misliš da sam lud?
Koji je stereotip? While the pronunciation is obviously wrong, what makes this line weird is that in the subtitles Nico calls Brucey a junkie, while he actually just says guy. However, the way he says it makes it sound like he says stereotype instead of steroid guy. But the main problem here is in the last line of this scene, when what Nico actually says, and I'm not kidding, is, "Of course I can get over the internet. You think I'm crazy?" That's genuinely word for word what he says, and I laughed out loud when I revisited this cutscene for the video. If you're curious what this line should actually sound like, it would be something like, "Naravno da znam da koristim internet. Nisam ja budala." Outside of the scene with Darko, this is probably the most broken line in the game, and I absolutely love it. The next scene we're going to be talking about takes place way further in the game, and I'm really sad that I forgot to mention it in my previous video. During the mission Wrong is Right, Nico meets the UL paper contact, whose real name is Bernard, by the way. I don't know if you knew that, but that's interesting. And when Nico is about to leave the office, he says this.
And hey, welcome to America. Pascala Stara Dejeva.
Boškao.
Bushkao. So firstly, I'm aware that UL paper isn't Serbian, so him mispronouncing his line, which should sound something like baš kao stara država, isn't odd. But Nico saying Bushkao instead of baš kao ona will also never not be funny to me. While I couldn't find any more amusing cutscenes to put in the video, there is actually some more interesting Serbian in the game. You see, during combat and just when playing around in general, Nico will shout out lines depending on what's happening, and a good amount of them are actually in Serbian. While there isn't anything particularly wrong about these lines, and the pronunciation is actually surprisingly decent enough, these lines don't have subtitles, so I'm sure a lot of people don't have any idea as to what Nico's supposed to be saying. So I picked up a couple of my favorites and added subtitles, so you can enjoy them.
Da vidimo, šta znaš? Ti si slab i spor, prijatelju. Bože, ti mora da mraziš sebe. Glupi Ameri, ti si slučaj za psihijatra. Hajde da se zabavimo. Zašto radiš to sebi? Hoćeš da te ubijem? Ti si izgubljen u svemiru. Ti si patetičan. Ovo mesto je pakao. Koja ti je poslednja želja? Ti si ružan kao posi izmet. Prestani da se ponašaš kao kjer. Drago mi je da ne plaćam porez.
These might just be the best written lines in any piece of media ever. Okay, so before ending the video, I wanted to address some of the things regarding the first part of this series that I made. So firstly, in my previous video, I mentioned that a lot of people think that Nico is Russian. And this came as a surprise to a lot of people, even the top comment of the video is pointing that out. Now yes, I am well aware that Nico clearly states that he's not Russian during the Do You Have Protection mission for Faustin. However, there are more people that don't know this than you think. Have you ever noticed how on the Wikipedia page for GTA 4 there is never a clear mention of Nico's nationality, instead only referring to him as a Eastern European guy? Well, the reason for this is that back when the game was released, there was a Wikipedia editing war on GTA 4's page. If you don't know what that is, it's basically when a lot of moderators cannot agree on one topic and they just keep editing and changing stuff back to back, and it's really funny. There is a whole page dedicated to the lamest Wikipedia wars. You should check that out. And basically at one point there were 5 citations. Citations are the little numbers you see above the things on Wikipedia. Each time Nico's name was mentioned. just because people couldn't agree on what country he's from. And the second reason why I said that people still think Nico is Russian is because a lot of people, and especially those that are not from Europe, I'm not dissing my Americans, I'm just saying, often mix up Siberia and Serbia. Now, I'm not kidding when I say this, by the way. I've had conversations with people who thought that Nico was from the USSR because Siberia sounds similar to Serbia. But basically, I've seen a lot of people make this mistake, but if you're still confused, Serbia is a country in Eastern Europe and was part of Yugoslavia. And Siberia is a region in the Asian part of Russia. That's it, that's all the confusion gone. Another mistake I made is when I said that GTA is, and I quote, an American game made by American people. This is wrong. Rockstar North Studio was set in Edinburgh, Scotland. And I shouldn't have made that mistake. However, this doesn't really change my point, considering what I was trying to say is that this game's target audience definitely weren't Serbian people and that Rockstar naturally didn't care too much about getting the language right for obvious reasons. Okay, so that's about it for this video. While I doubt this will turn into much of a series because honestly I just don't really have much to say on this topic anymore and I don't want to milk it obviously. But yeah, I wanted to make this video because there was still a lot of things that I wanted to address and I had a lot of fun creating it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching and also thank you for the fact that we've reached 2,000 subscribers. That's honestly an insane thing to me that I went from having 300 subscribers in August to having 2,000 now. So thank you all so much. Thank you for watching and I'll see you all in the next one.